Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I am going to vote for this bill, but I think it is critically important that we as a body be honest to our constituents about what this bill does, and perhaps more importantly, what the bill does not do. And let's go back to the basics for just a second. Never-ending property taxes are unethical, they're immoral, they should be thrown on the dust heap of history in the state of Texas. They are inconsistent with private property rights, and they prevent any Texan from ever truly owning their home in this state. You may call yourself a homeowner in the state of Texas, but the reality is you are just a renter and the government is your landlord. And if you don't believe me, try not paying your property tax bill at the end of the year and you will find out real fast who really owns your home in this state. Texans are being taxed out of their homes, and if there was only one thing that they demanded that we do this session, it was deal with property taxes and debate and pass bills to eliminate property taxes in Texas. And even if not full elimination, to at least fight for real property tax cuts right now and for everybody. And if we can't even do that, we should at least stop the property tax increases. The bills today unequivocally do not measure up to those expectations. We are failing at a time when it would have been, ironically, the easiest for us to succeed. We started this session with a $24 billion surplus, but instead of using that to put us on a path to eliminate property taxes, we lit it on fire to fund every liberal pet project imaginable.
Mr. Speaker, gentlemen, you have a question?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
As for the good in this bill, and I want to speak to that, this bill may help some homeowners with their property tax bill. Maybe, and only some. But unfortunately, it is entirely conceivable that many or most homeowners and property owners will not see any real savings at all because the appraisals are likely to increase and eat up this new exemption. And even if the appraisals don't go up by the full amount of the exemption, the legislature is still authorizing political subdivisions to increase property tax rates. And that's where things do get bad for this bill. Because by only increasing exemptions, it actually puts inflationary pressure on property tax rates. And we should be doing everything we can as a body to get the property tax rates as close to zero as is possible. And worse, we're putting inflationary pressure on tax rates by picking winners and losers. And while it may help some homeowners, it will almost certainly harm small business owners, entrepreneurs, brick and mortar stores, which will force them to increase their prices, and renters. Members, all Texans deserve tax relief. And one myth about property taxes that needs to be put to bed, and that's that the state of Texas does not levy property taxes. Austin politicians want to absolve themselves of blame by pointing the finger at local governments. And yes, the local governments absolutely share in some of the blame here. But it is factually not true to say that the state of Texas is not responsible for property tax increases. I apparently have to continuously remind this body that local governments are political subdivisions of what? They're political subdivisions of the state. So when local governments raise property taxes, it is the state of Texas that is raising those property taxes. And ultimately, when property taxes go up, the real people responsible for that property tax, those property tax increases, are those of us in this room here today. Here's another myth that I really love hearing. All property tax increases are voter approved. This is an absolute lie. The vast majority of property tax increases happen without voter approval, and why is that? That is because this body explicitly allows it. And unfortunately, this bill does not change that. I've been pushing a bill for years to make all property tax increases illegal unless they were approved by voters in an election. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the lowest of all possible low-hanging fruit. And yet this body continues to refuse to do that, unfortunately, including even in this bill. So in closing, I'm going to vote for this bill, but not because it is a great bill that really fixes property taxes in Texas, but because it appears that this is the best that we are going to get this session. And that is just a pathetic and sad indictment of this body over the past 5 months. By failing to deal with property taxes head on with the seriousness that issue deserves, we continue to fail the hardworking and overtaxed men and women of the great state of Texas. Guys, Texas has a reputation for leading in freedom and liberty and small government and low taxes, but the reality is that Texas has one of the highest property tax burdens in America, and we have just been coasting on our small government reputation. It is past time we start living up to it.
You have a question?
Texans deserve better.
Will the gentleman